Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the stream is live. People will probably be coming in a second or two. Chris Williams, how you doing, brother? Or fuck, God damn it, Chris Warren. Jesus fucking Christ, that is the most embarrassing way to start.
Listen, the amount of times I've messed up your last name while bringing you up on a show, that is well earned on my part.
God damn, no, you don't have to be nice to me. That does it. I don't. God, fuck. Well, that's a good way to start. Hey, who are you? No, Chris, I'm so sorry about that. You know what?
All good, man.
You know what it was? I've never actually said your fucking name out loud, and I just got it mixed up with this fucking other dude, Chris Williams, who I used to do stand up with. I'm highly embarrassed. I'm gonna the second I upload this, I re-upload this on YouTube. I will
Yeah.
harikari myself. That is
Good, that's good.
this whatever. All right. So I'm a big dumb retard. What's that about? How do you feel about all that stuff?
Dude, that's just Philly, man. You know, you're embracing your heritage.
My heritage, that's hilarious. Yes. I have been like embracing just being a big dumb retard a lot more lately. Just cause it's like I don't think cause we had an argument about this on fucking panties like very recently. And I was saying that like I don't well, I think I was kind of being like, I don't know. I think I'm smart, but and then I was like, that in and of itself just sounds fucking stupid. It's just someone going like, I'm smart. I'm fucking smart. And I think I go, no, I'm just not dumb. That's all I want out of this world. Just be like, I just want to be not dumb, I think. And then when you kind of embrace that, it does make everything a little bit more freeing. I think so.
Dude, I realized recently, and I always kind of do this, that I am just not the smartest person. Because if I just talk to someone who I even think is smarter than me, you know, even if they're not, if they just carry themselves with some confidence and say stuff, you know, like they know what they're talking about, I'll agree to completely contradictory like worldviews. Like all it takes is if I talk to a really smart Democrat, I'll be like a Democrat for a week after that conversation until I talk to a really smart Republican, and I'll be a Republican for like a week after that conversation. I'll talk to like our friend Robbie, who's a libertarian smart guy. I'll be a libertarian until I talk to the next person. It's just whoever the smartest person I talk to last, I just believe whatever they told me until I'm corrected by someone else.
Yeah, and I think I kind of like you like with that energy. I like because I think you and me. This is why I like you is you and me are similar dudes. Where we're into politics, but we're not like political people. Because you got like that dope shit. What's your Instagram again?
Oh, Chris Warren comedy. I'm same on Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, I do a lot of like political commentary, but it's I have no actual like understanding about anything works. So
Yeah,
people just get in arguments about on the comments about how I'm right or wrong on things I
bro.
didn't even understand I was saying.
Are
I
you,
was like, I was just talking about a fighter jet being cool, and they're telling me like I'm a genius at geopolitics or I'm retarded at geopolitics.
dude? That's my favorite when people argue in your comments and they're like, these is just one of these blah blah blahs. I remember, like, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Oh, okay. So you were probably the tail end of actually having like real arguments on Facebook, right?
Oh yeah, I experienced some of that in high school for sure.
Yeah, I remember I went through a time where I was basically like, if I had an opinion, Facebook's gonna know. And I would like just post and I remember it was the first time I found out about like the wage gap not being real, which basically if you just everything consistent like age, time of work, years worked, experience, blah blah blah, like time at the office, the wage gap isn't really real. So I post this. I'm reading that new to like learning shit and just being like, oh wow, this is super interesting. Let me post it to my Facebook. People will love to learn this info. And I get some comments being like, you Ayn Rand sycophant. And I just go, who is that? Like, I know who she is now. I literally have her books back there. Haven't read them, still working on that. But like, I know,
They're
but
rough reads, dude. They're not fun reads.
well, dude, I got through, I finished Anthem. I got through a huge chunk of, what's it called? Not Waterhead. The
Fountainhead?
Fountainhead.
I read Fountainhead and I had to tap out afterwards. I'm like, I can't do Atlas Shrugged. Like, this was a grind. I got the idea. I'm good.
Well, dude, she does the thing. I've been trying to also read The Shining by Stephen King, and she does a thing similar to Stephen King in that book where it's like, brother, get to the fucking point. They just yap. They just yap. And I know that's ironic coming from me, but like they just yap and yap and yap. And then you realize the interesting shit is like the last page of the fucking chapter. But yeah, it's Atlas. But yeah, I'm like going back to the original thing. I'm getting blamed for some shit. I go, I don't even know who the fuck that is. And that's the beauty of you post a shit ton on TikTok, right? I've experienced that a little bit in the TikTok comments. I thought YouTube was the fucking lowest of the low when it came to internet comments. TikTok comments are fucking great.
Dude, they're beautiful. I've had multiple people on TikTok, send me messages with like death threats or send me like dissertations, like the longest possible character count you can send in a message telling me why I'm wrong about geopolitics. And it's like, I just made a video about how Gaddafi's drip game was on point. Like, why are you making this political? This is crazy.
Well, dude, I do think I was just talking to my buddy Pat, who I do my other pods with. Like I was thinking about this with the dude who choked out the guy on the subway. I forget his name, but like how I started to realize how all those I don't know what you would call them, like public vigilante situations or whatever you would call those, like how quickly politicized they become. Like it is kind of crazy how politicized every topic in the news. If you can kind of tell where you're supposed to be if you're like liberal or conservative. And I realize that, like, you know, a lot of people are going to have a no duh, but I never realized how truly politicized every single fucking thing is. You could, like you were saying, you could just be like, oh, I noticed a funny thing about Gaddafi, and people are just coming at you on all different angles on that shit. It's exhausting.
Well, it's just like, I don't know. And I'm not that old. I'm only 30, but I do feel like it was like distinctly different even a couple of years ago. Of like, I used to just have friends and we had wildly different political views and we'd talk about it for a minute, be like, I guess we're just not going to agree on this. And that was it.
Yeah.
You just had friends that believed different stuff and you didn't feel this need to like show them the light or whatever. And now it's like, you can't say anything or you're getting lectured until you capitulate and like agree. It's bizarre.
Well, that I have a conspiracy on that where I think it's like I don't know what it is, CIA, deep state, yada, yada, yada. I think they're like pushing a thing where, because I realize this with conspiracies. Like, so in the age of the 60s with like JFK, any of that shit, if they needed something done, they'd be like, just go fucking shoot him. And now, because like, dude, we saw it with October 7th. Like the day after October 7th happens, someone's like, yo, I found 40 babies beheaded. And then people on Twitter were like, are you sure about that? And then the lady immediately goes like, well, no, someone told me about it. I don't know. And, you know, and we're like debunking conspiracies within the week now. So I think what they do now, rather than just flat out lying, I think they're just pumping shit tons of information to just bog you down and get you exhausted, and then mix that with like they're pumping this like you remember during like COVID and Black Lives Matter, people would be like silence and violence, and it's like, I don't know, I could also just not know the topic, so it's probably better for me to shut the fuck up.
Dude, that's me. It's like I people are like, what do you think we should do about the world, Chris? And it's like, dude, I can't even. I'm 30 years old. I'm unemployed, and I'm doing a live stream in the middle of a weekday. Like, I can't run my own life. What makes you think like I have any good ideas about how to run Washington? You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, no, that was like a big shift where I feel like they started. I don't know if it's in the news or the influencers or what, but like they start like going to your point earlier where like, because I agree with you. When I was younger, we could vehemently disagree on political stuff and then we just kind of go back to whatever. Now, I mean, it's less now, But I when like Trump came in, you'd have that thing where you were like, dude, if I have a nuanced opinion on A, B, or C, I feel like this friend group's just gonna bail on me. And like, it luckily didn't happen for me, but you saw it happen to people in real time. And yeah, I think some entity is pushing this notion that like you have to be, like you always hear the phrase, you got to be on the right side of history. I always joke about that. I'm like, bro, they didn't know washing your hands was good till like 1920. You know what I mean? So there was one motherfucker in the 1800s being like, dude, we should put our water on our hands before we make our food. And everyone was like, you should fucking die. That one guy was right. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, man. I don't know how to fucking look at any of this shit.
People are just it's like people are making it their personality to be into politics, and then
Yeah.
it's also like the thing of it becomes to show how they're so smart. And I remember when the election was happening, I saw, and you probably saw this because I'm sure we follow a lot of the same people. Like people were
Yeah.
posting on their Instagram stories like, "Hey guys, a lot of you aren't noticing this thing, but I've been following politics closely for the last 14 years, and I know a thing or two. And let me explain to you what's happening." It's like I have never seen you make a political post once in the 7 years I've followed you, and now all of a sudden you're a political expert. Just like admit you don't know what you're talking about, and this is your opinion. Like, why is all of a sudden everyone an expert? It's like, it's ridiculous.
Or like the other version where it's like people feel the need to like talk so authoritative and maybe like shame people, and it's like, I mean, brother, I've done coke with you, man. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck are you, dude? Like, chill. Like, I know all you have to smoke weed the second you're awake. Like, calm down. Like, we both get blackout drunk together. Like, just what is this, man? Like, I don't know. Like, I remember, dude, the one thing that would always get me, I haven't heard this one in a while, but I tried doing a joke about it a while ago. But the one thing that would always get me is if you'd get in a disagreement with someone. This is why I hate fucking having cell phones, because you'd get in a disagreement with someone and you'd see they're kind of like the wheels would be turning. They'd go, well, where'd you read that? And now like all your friends are just making you like have a bibliography on your shit, and you're just like, I don't fucking remember. I just think it, dude.
Also, you can't like just have a logical common sense idea that's your own. I've noticed, like, I can't be like, well, this is what I've observed anecdotally in the world, and then this is my conclusion for it. It's like, cite your sources. Like, my source is lived experience. Like that, your ideas aren't good enough. It's got to be a smarter person from like the Wall Street Journal that came up with this. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to like just reason?
No, it is that like weird appeal to authority that people do a lot of times with shit like that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all it's all
You know what the key is, Andy? You gotta just have your political beliefs be based on what sounds cool.
Yeah.
That's my favorite game to play. They'll ask me what my beliefs are, and I'll just say this thing because it sounds cool. And they'll try to explain to me how I'm wrong. And I'm like, oh, this isn't a logical conversation. I just think it's cool. Like, you're not going to convince me guns aren't lit, dude. An AR-15 is sick. I don't care what statistics you bring. I don't care what logic or stories you bring. It's just like it goes bang and it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
it makes people infuriated.
Dude, everyone also I was the type of guy who was very pro gun and like never shot guns. I just like, I thought about the logical argument. Like, I'm really a guy who's like, excuse me. What was I thinking about this? I forget what it was. I was thinking about this in relationship to something else recently, but I think about it with guns a lot, where everyone will like weigh in on their opinion on guns, and they'll be like, well, this is why I think there should be gun control and blah, 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 and da, da, da. And every time I think about me owning a gun, and then I think about some random dude in like New York or anywhere on the West Coast, and I'm like, they'll be like, well, wait, who are you? Like, don't fucking worry about what I'm doing with my guns. But I was always like, just the pure logic behind it. I was always pro gun. And then like, recently we went to this, thing out near San Antonio called Range Day, where it was a bunch of fucking Dude, it was so sick. It was a bunch of like YouTube gun influence. What?
Yeah, we're gonna live forever.
Oh yeah, that was
die.
Nate was throwing that one. We're never gonna die, dude. It was a bunch of YouTube gun influencers, and they just had a range called the Demolition Ranch, and we were just firing off all these like. I was just like, yes, every gun in Call of Duty, let's go. And it's, dude, I like after being there, I realized I go everyone who's anti-gun just hasn't shot a gun yet. They're so fun. And it's like this: the second you shoot a gun, your opinion on it, you're gonna be like, all right, maybe we pull these laws back a little bit.
Dude, you just see, like, you shoot a full soda can one time with the gun, and see it explode, and tell me that doesn't do something for you, dude.
Yeah, well, that's what Lemaire did. He shot a fucking they had a gun that shot monsters.
That rules.
Yeah, it was sick. Wait, fuck. I was trying to remember another thing I was going to ask you about. I forget. Do you get into the conspiracies at all?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't say, like, I used to be more into them, and now it's just I have more on my plate, so I don't have time with, like, a cork board and stuff. But, yeah, I still enjoy a good conspiracy theory.
Oh, is it a time thing? Because for me, I got it was funny. I got into conspiracies because way back I was like, yo, this shit's retarded. And then I started to get into it, and I go, okay, it's actually, unfortunately, it's not as retarded as I thought.
Well, that's the thing, though, is some conspiracies are really good, but some are just retarded.
Yeah.
But it tricks you, because some sound retarded, and then they make sense, and others, like the flat earth thing, it's like, but maybe this one's not right. It's like, no, that's just retarded. That's a retarded one, you know?
Flat Earth's my favorite, too, because because my whole thing with like what I spend time on is, and it's weirdly why the alien one I've become content with, because my barometer on giving time to conspiracies, and I go, well, what does it matter if it is true? And that's the thing with like Flat Earth, where I was like, I'm not going to Antarctica. I mean, it'd be interesting to find out it was real, but I go, how does Flat Earth being real change anything?
That's the thing with politics, all this stuff that people get obsessed with, and I used to be like really into in college. It's like, I would argue that whoever wins president, right, this last election, if you didn't tell me that Donald Trump won the election, and I couldn't see on the news or anything, I would have no idea, because my personal life has not changed at all.
Yeah.
So it's like we're getting all worried about like, oh, is Kamala going to win? Is Trump going to win? And it's like, if I didn't tell you for a year, you would have no idea, because it actually doesn't directly affect you the way you think it does.
Well, I will say this, though, because like COVID kind of threw a wrench in that. Like that was obviously, a big exception, because it is a thing of like, generally speaking, it'll like, your life won't drastically change, outside of the financial crisis and COVID and things. Like there will be these huge spikes. It's like when crypto goes up, there will be like crazy spikes, and then it'll peter out for a while. But
I don't even think the president has, or the government in general has, as much control as people like to think they do over the economy. Because think about this. If they really had that much control over the economy, wouldn't every administration do a great job with it? Because that's the one thing everyone wants, is a good economy. Wouldn't every single president figure out the scheme and just repeat that and make a great economy? But they don't.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think, because I have a not very gracious sort of interpretation of all of them. So I think they use like the model of, because like I think it's like the one downside, or not the one, but like one of the major downsides of democracy is because you get these people who are only going to be in there for a minute. So they just kind of go like, all right, who can I help out? It's like if you got the insurance on a fucking rental car, you're like, I'm covered, because if you're the president and you start giving out like, you start hooking your boys up, and then you're like Obama, where you leave the presidency and then Netflix gives you like $400,000 to talk for do like one show or some shit like that. There's like more incentive to like set up those deals. And, same thing with the rental car, fucking drive it to shit, because you're like, it's not fucking mine. I'm just going to be in this for a minute. So there is that. And then I know with like, they like, Israel's a whole other element where Israel seems to just have the whole fucking government blackmailed and shit. So there is that element where it's just like, they're going to do the money printing. They're like, send some money to Israel. Like, oh, what wars do you guys need? Send some money over there. So I think I feel like it's depending on where you look, because it is this thing where you're like, your day to day, depending on who you are, isn't like crazy. But then, it's like little things. You go to like fucking, I crush McDonald's from time to time, and just occasional, once in a while. I mean, I don't even know the last time. This morning, yesterday, who can remember? But no, like, you also look at that, and there'll be little things you start noticing. Actually, no, better example with McDonald's. I saw someone, dude, this made me sad. Someone threw up a picture of the value menu from '94. You want to know how?
No,
dude,
that's the year I was born, dude.
Dude, you want to know how much a fucking value meal was in '94? It was like,
it's gonna hurt,
bro. It was like $4.50, $5
for a whole meal.
Yeah, because that's the thing too, where they also, what was it called? It's like the boiling frog, where they like slowly raise the temp to like kill the frog.
What made me realize inflation is real, that I started noticing in my personal life? So pre-COVID, a Monster energy drink, a sugar-free Monster, which I like to partake in, was like $2.50.
Yeah,
it was $2.50 before tax. It was pretty, just a little bit more than a soda, a little treat. Yeah. I went in the store yesterday, the same gas station. They are like $4 before tax.
Oh, dude,
that is almost double the price. Like, now it's starting to personally affect me. I can't be having a sugar-free Monster every day.
Well, wait, where?
And the Zyn went up from $5 to $8. I'm getting crushed here.
You're in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit pricey there too, right?
Oh yeah, no. Connecticut is probably one of the worst places financially to live unless you're very wealthy. So I made the choice, like, I'm gonna be poor here. I'm gonna show everyone you can do it. You can live here poor.
You're gonna fucking show them, dude. Stick it to them. Yeah, dude. It's so funny you brought up Monsters, because I had the same one. I remember. What the fuck was it? It was like the deal. Oh yeah, the deal would always be 3 for $6. And I'd be like, that's a fucking deal.
Great deal.
And I would get them, and it was actually nice too, because a lot of times you think, oh, let me buy the whole case, I'll keep it at my house, it's a little bit cheaper. No, bro, like Wawa, where I lived in fucking PA, they'd be looking out. The 3 for $6 was like what it would cost if you got the case. So it's like, dude, you're actually giving me a good fucking deal. And then I remember I just grabbed my 3 one day, and I see like $9, and I go, wait, what? And then I look back at the thing, and it said 2 for $6, just randomly one day. It was like, what the and you're like, wait a minute, and like the way they present it now, you're like, dude, we're hooking you up, and you're like, what happened to this country?
Dude, seriously, it's we're no longer economically viable, and that's why here's my pitch on how people ask my political opinions. Here's my one held political opinion. I think that America's got to start being openly evil. I say we invade Iran, right? We invade Iran.
Openly evil. I was going to be like,
openly.
It feels like
well, you start to sound a little unpatriotic. I'll let it slide.
No, you mean you just be straight up about it.
No, so here's what I'm saying. Like, let's be evil, right? Let's invade Iran tomorrow. Let's not make any moral things about, they're whatever. Let's just be, no, we're invading Iran to steal their oil. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 25% off the top of that oil profit, and we're going to give everyone universal health care. That would be sick if we just operated like we're going to do evil shit. We're all our business cronies, the government, we're all going to profit, but we're going to break you off a piece. We're going to take care of you. Free health care, we're going to forgive student debt, and we just got to blow up Tehran real quick. And I don't think anyone would be anti-war if you were like, free health insurance the rest of your life, we're getting rid of your college debt.
Well, so that goes into sort of what I was going to bring up, where that's a big reason too. What you're saying is like, you were like, people wouldn't care if they got all this shit. And you're like, yeah, dude, they wouldn't. And you go, that's another reason why everyone's so fucking political right now. Because they're like, wait a minute, why don't I have money to like do shit? Because like when I was younger, you could you could be a retard and get a simple job, and you'd have enough money where you're like, oh, I could take my girl out to eat like 3 times a month at a pretty decent place. I'll have money for vacation. I'll have money to buy, like, I won't have to think like, should I get the new video game or should I buy this? Like, and you know, and then you would go to, and dude, this is where I noticed it, because like, you know, like I said before, I frequent the fast food. I am addicted, and it was the like, I started noticing it where I go, the agreement is off, because the agreement with the fast food was like, yes, we know it's garbage, but you're giving it to me for a deal. And then I remember it was sometime in COVID. I just randomly got a fucking whatever the value, whatever, like a Big Mac or something meal at McDonald's, and it was like $15. And I go, wait,
$15 for a meal.
I go, this is bar prices. Like that's where I think that's a big reason why a lot of people started, like normal people started paying attention a little bit more, because they're like, you know, it'd be little shit. Like, dude, I remember during COVID going to the grocery store. I would be able to go to the grocery store, get the things I need, grab a couple extra things, and it wouldn't be that much. And then there was a month where I just started noticing, I go, my shit's almost double. And it's like, now I have to be more proactive at the grocery store to make it what it used to be. It's like, so to go back to your point, that's what makes me realize how, you know, and other reasons, but like that's a big thing that makes me realize how evil and greedy, and how they just look at you like cattle, the like government, like higher ups in the government does. Cause it's like, you guys don't even understand. If you just made it nice for all of us, we'd shut the fuck up. Most of us would shut the fuck up.
And dude, that's the thing. It's they have so much capital. It's like they don't realize. It's like, no, you don't have to give up the whole pie. You can still be billionaires. No one's asking you to stop being billionaires, right? Just break us off like 10%.
Yeah.
If you just broke off 10%, you would not have to change your lifestyle at all, and you could really fix a lot of structural societal problems. And you know, then you wouldn't have to worry about poor people, you know, coming with pitchforks.
Bro,
that's all it would take. But it's like an ego thing. They're like, I'm not going to do it.
That's the thing, dude. If they could get the country back to a place where taking your girl out to eat a couple nights a month, having a party occasionally, like having a football get together where you buy everything, where it's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
You gotta be the rich friend to do that now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta be like you gotta like have money to invite your friends over, and like if you invite your friends over and just provide enough food, you don't even have to go fancy. Like, it's gonna be a little bit. If you can get America back to a place where you can just, those things aren't insane to pay for, so you could do so much evil shit again, man, and no one would care.
Well, dude, I knew it was fucked because I was talking recently to my buddy, and he took a very more traditional path in life. You know, he's not in entertainment. He's like a computer engineer, right? And he's like a good computer engineer.
Yeah.
And his wife's a lawyer. And they've been very frugal their whole life. They don't have any like drug problems, nothing. They're like solid, you know, classic, straight and narrow people. And they were telling me they've been looking for a house for a year. And they, as a lawyer and computer software engineer together with dual income, no kids, cannot afford to buy a house. And I'm not talking crazy house. It's like a 3-bedroom starter home. They cannot afford to buy. If they can't, as a lawyer and a software engineer, cannot afford to buy a house, how the fuck am I supposed to do that, dude? Like, I'm unskilled labor. I'm screwed.
Nah, dude, I remember, like, I'm in the same boat as you right now. I don't have any, like, regular, like, a traditional day job or anything. But, like, when I was still in Jersey working a day job and doing comedy, it's like, you know, obviously I'm not going to tell you how much we were making, but like if you put the amount of money me and my wife were making, I remember as a kid hearing numbers like that. I go, oh, you'll be chilling.
Yeah, right.
You'll be chilling hard. And it was just like, you know, and especially living in fucking, this is why I like being in fucking Texas, dude. Like we had a like small to medium sized apartment, and now I'm in like a fucking house. So Texas is very chill for that reason. But yeah, it's like, dude, the amount, it's like, I think the problem is sort of, you know, everyone was promised this like American dream, and that's sort of like a big, I don't know what the term would be, but it's just like a big thing that's instilled in people when they're younger. And it's like all these people who quote unquote did the right thing, they're now growing up and they're like, you know, the system's just being like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Suck our dicks, I guess. You know?
Dude, the American dream was not a sustainable thing. It came out of a very specific set of unique parameters at a very specific time in history, where right after World War II, all the other developed nations had been blown up in World War II. They didn't have factories, they didn't have anything. And the US was just the last place on earth that had a manufacturing sector that wasn't affected by the war. So we were the only guys on earth making cars, making steel, making all these consumer products. And so we could charge whatever we wanted for them. And you could give an average unskilled guy, just put him in the factory at 18, and you could afford to pay him a really good wage. But that was not sustainable. Now we're seeing the fact that all these other countries rebuilt, they made their own sectors, and we can't compete on the fair market anymore. Like, the American dream was never sustainable. It was a product of World War II, and that time is over now.
No, I hear you. I hear you on that. It also too just it like from the actual person where it's like buy shit, get a big ass fucking house. There was not a lot of it was like a subtle way too to turn you into a good old worker. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it'll be like, oh, work your whole life off so you can chill out when your body's the shittiest.
That'd be good. Going to Cancun at 75 in a wheelchair. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, yeah. And then it is so funny too, how it makes you want to like believe in more of those bigger conspiracies where I remember I had a big eye-opening experience when, because you know how everyone used to, what's your like, where are you on like homeschooling? Are you like give a fuck, or are you like anti-pro, or do you give a shit?
I could go either way. I think maybe at some point in my life, if circumstances allowed, I'd like to have kids. And it's like that rock and a hard place, right? Because if you homeschool your kids, you get to be more in control of what they learn and, you know, kind of get them away from maybe like the dangers of society and some of the dumb shit they're learning in public school. But then they're going to be weird, and they're not going to have like normal interaction with the world. And then eventually they're going to grow up and they're going to have to go into the normal world where everyone else was in, you know, regular school. So then it's like, well, do I send them to public school? Because it's like, yeah, then they'll be more socialized. They'll understand how the world works. They won't be as naive, but like they're going to experience a lot of this like fucked up shit of like a kid in 4th grade showing them hardcore porn on their iPhone. Like, you know, like just shit like that. So I think I would send my kids to like a really strict private school, like an old school, you know, Catholic school where the nuns can still put hands on you. Like, that's where they're going.
Well, I think, I hear you, because everyone, you were talking, you being like, yeah, you need to be in 4th grade and somebody needs to show you hardcore porn. That is a funny thing too. Everyone always goes like, yeah, if they're not in public school, they end up being weird. And you're like, bro, you know what's going on in public school?
Yeah. And that's like a real thing that happened to me. A kid had a PSP, you know, those old handheld Sony things, and he had like jailbroke it somehow, and this was like fifth grade or whatever. He just showed me like hardcore porn in the middle of class on a PSP. That was my first time seeing that shit. Like, this is crazy to be seeing in science class.
That's so funny. It's embarrassing how many people I've talked to who's also looked up porn on PSPs. Well, I guess it was that kid. But yeah, I remember that was a beautiful
moment. I went home and tried it for sure. He put me on the game.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to undersell you on that one, brother. My fault. But no, dude, for real though, like I remember it was like everyone's had that moment where they're on their PSP and they're like, wait, let me go on the internet, and they're like, and you're like PORNHU, and you're like, oh shit!
It just lets you do it. You're like, I thought someone would stop me.
Yeah, dude, I remember my buddy was super hyped to get a Wii, because I don't know if it was the first one where you could. I feel like it wasn't, but it was the first system he had where you could actually get on the internet. And he was like so excited because he's like, dude, it's going to be great. I'm going to watch porn on the big screen. And then he looked it up and Wii was like, no. So PSP would like let you look up. Dude, I remember this is when I realized I had a problem. I had a PSP in college, and whatever dorm I was in, I think it was a dorm. because there was like dorms, on campus apartments, all these other ones, but like certain ones would let you in like a little bit early depending on your situation. And I remember I was like at school a week early, but they hadn't set up the Wi-Fi or the internet at all in my dorm. And I was like, 2-3 days without beating it. So I was in desperation mode. And I took my PSP, I went to the back corner of the library, and I start like looking up porn, and I'm going to download it. And then as I'm downloading, I just go, what the fuck am I doing? And I was just like, just don't jerk off, you dumbass. So
that's some junky shit, dude.
Yeah,
that's straight
dude.
up Jonesing.
Bro, that's when I realized I had a problem. I was like, I'm in the corner of my college library. I'm paying tuition to download porn in the library.
You're like holding it up, trying to get the signal.
Bro, I probably was. It was nerve-wracking. But yeah, man. I don't know. The thing I was gonna say too about like the schooling and shit where like because especially like college. Because I remember thinking about this when everyone was talking about the whole free college, and I remember, it was when that first started to be a more popular concept, and everyone's talking about that and shit. And I heard someone say there is this interesting thing where you're like, if you make college free for everyone, it actually like devalues the college degree because that is a weird thing too about everyone leaning into college where there's like this implicit like, oh, if you work a blue collar job, you're a fucking dickhead. And you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Dude, I think the thing with the college is it's like so college used to be this thing where like the top 5% of people, the smartest, the best, and the brightest, would go to college to have their uniquely intelligent intellect cultivated into being like the top echelon of society, the intellectuals, the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers, right?
Yeah.
And then because of the American dream thing, all these people that were like, the World War II generation were like, well, I want my kids to have a better life. I want them to be that elite, that 5%. So I'm going to work really hard. But then everyone did that, and everyone in the boomer generation went to college. Even more of them went in Gen X. Then in my generation, millennials, we all fucking went to college. And now it's this thing where you look at the stats, it's like 60% of millennials went to college. It's not this elite intellectual thing. It's become a baseline. So high school diploma used to be the baseline. Now a college degree doesn't actually matter. It only matters that you have one to prove you're not a dummy.
Yeah.
And jobs that used to not require college degrees, that have no business requiring college degrees, have nothing to do with anything you learned in college, require them now.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you want to do this basic data entry job that we could literally train everyone to do in like a week?
Anyone could figure it out in a week.
Yeah, you can't apply to it unless you have at least a bachelor's degree. We won't even look at your resume. You can't interview. And it's like, all it's done is created this new economy where you are, unless you want to work at like Walmart or McDonald's, and no hate to people that got to do that, but it's like, unless you want to have the worst jobs, you almost have to go to college just to be able to get a even decent job.
Yeah, thank you for that, because you kind of helped articulate sort of what I was getting at, where it's like what you were saying before, it shifted into a thing where it's just like you, and I'm like ground zero on that. I went to college when I was younger because I was like, that's just what you do. I didn't have a degree declared until like my third year, like all that shit, where it just became this thing where it's like, you just fucking do that. And I think like everyone's perspective on it is weird, where it's like, no, college should be a thing where it's like, do they teach you a thing that you can't learn unless you go there? Then that's like, it should almost be like a trade school, but for fucking smart people.
Well, and even that, like, because people are like,
or not smart people, but people who are it's like a trade school, but for your brain.
Yeah, but it's like, even people are like, oh, but it's like the ways it teaches your brain to learn, like you need to go there to expand your intellect or whatever. And it's like, you shouldn't be allowed to get a liberal arts degree. Like, I got one, so I'm guilty as charged. I got a history degree. But it's like, the only people that should be going and getting like an undergrad degree in Dickens are like the ultra geniuses that are going to be like the one guy in the world that knows everything about Dickens. Like the average person, it doesn't help you at all to have gone and learned about Dickens to then go be an HR person.
Well, and that's why too the guaranteeing student loans is such a bad thing. People like people don't realize it's like no, like everyone shouldn't go to college. Like it's not, and I'm not
I
like
shouldn't have gone.
yeah, no, because like think about it. What like think about like I forget half of what the like weird liberal arts degree is, but like if you're just like oh I wanna study sub-Saharan African feminism literature, and then you go okay well you know what are you 18 years old? Go to the bank, tell them you want 100 grand so you can study sub-Saharan African, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, oh, in the real world where the banks aren't being guaranteed the money by the government, which essentially means we're going to go pay that, you know, like we're basically paying for your degree, they would go, oh, you wouldn't get the money for that. And they would force you to rethink that. And like you could still enjoy that, but it would force you to have a more sensible, logical career. And
and also, this whole thing of and I'm glad you brought up the guaranteed federal loans because I think that is what's kind of ruined things. There's a lot of things, but like, that's one of them. Is like, we don't need this many colleges. We don't need this many people to go to college. The only reason, and it's like, oh yeah, but if we didn't have guaranteed federal loans, like I wouldn't have been able to go to college. It's like, bro, if that's what you needed to go to college, maybe you didn't need to be at college.
And also, like, there's. You know what I mean? Bro, I have so many. I know in comedy, I have so many friends that are more successful to me that either didn't go or dropped out of college. It's like we need to stop selling people that it's like, do you want to work with your hands? No, well you got to go to college. It's like no, there needs to be this like a fucking middle class where it's like you don't want to work with your hands, but you're also not a genius, but you're also not a complete dummy. So I don't know, man. It was like, dude, there's so many people that rather than going to a 4-year college, a job could just train them for like a fucking month and then they'd be set. But I bet the jobs love college because they're like, well, I don't have to pay for that type of shit.
And dude, that's what companies, and I think the internet has been instrumental in doing this. Companies used to be okay with investing and cultivating talent and bringing up someone. Where like back in the like 70s or 80s, you really could start out at an entry level job, and there was actually a possibility you could work your way up to being an executive if you worked hard and you had good ideas and you impressed the right people. There are real stories of people doing that. That's not just in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Now that is impossible because they have made everyone completely expendable. Because they have access to the internet, they can just go on Indeed or LinkedIn or Recruiter, and they can just get 1 million people with more, on paper, more qualified that they can pay less, and they'll just bring them in and keep swapping them out to just pay less and less and less and drive up shareholder value. And it's completely destroyed the job market. You're considered dumb if you stay at a company for more than 3 years. Because like the only way you're going to get a raise is going somewhere else that'll pay you more.
Really?
Yeah, that's all my friends in the corporate world. They're like, oh yeah, after 3 years, you have to start shopping around because they won't promote you. They won't give you a raise. So you got to go find another company that will give you like an extra 20 grand to do the same job over there.
Huh. Interesting. I wish I had more friends in the corporate world. I find all that stuff so fascinating. Like all the like finance bros. I find all that stuff so fascinating because I go, if I know it's not, but it kind of is, but like it all just feels fake. Every time I try to like learn about the stock market, I try to learn about hedge, like dude, I got deep on hedge funds and I go, what do you guys even do? It was like that one was fucking me up. All that and that's another thing too about what I hate about like sort of the American structure is it feels like right now the main people it feels like the people who make real money in this country are basically doing high-level parlays. Like it's like all that finance stuff just feels like sports betting. I remember when I figured it out with crypto because I'm big into Bitcoin. Like I don't know if I'm a maximalist, but I'm big into Bitcoin. And anything else than that, I'm like, yeah, maybe Ethereum. I don't know. It hasn't seemed to have gone up. But like all the other stuff, I just go like, just don't do that. It's all day trading. All of it is just day trading horseshit.
Well, dude, I had a buddy that used to basically make his living off crypto. He had to retire from that life because it was too stressful, and now he just got like a normal job. But yeah, he spent 2 years. What was he big? I think he was big back in like 2018 to 2020, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And he would sit at a computer with like four big screens, and all he would do all day is he would get on these different invite-only subreddits and invite-only Discord servers where all these guys doing the same thing would discuss all the tips and tricks. And what they would usually do is they would find, like, you know how there's all those shit coins, they're called, where it's just like someone makes a random coin. They would all agree on what made the most sense, and they would collectively buy like 10 of them. They buy like let's say like 5,000 of each of these 10, right? And knowing that 8 of them, you are just losing your money. It's going nowhere. You just threw 5 grand out the window. But the 2 that make it, that get traction because you got an invite to be like basically in the alpha of it, like you got an early buy-in or whatever it's called through these connects in the Discord world.
Yeah.
They were able to get early buy-in, so they got it for like pennies on the dollar, and then when it would go public, there'd be a huge spike, and they'd all do a rug pull.
Yep.
And make all their money back for the 8 that didn't work out plus some. And it was like, yeah, all crypto trading is rug pulls. He's like, the only way you can make money on crypto is if you get an early invite to buy before it's public. If it's public, you already are not making money. You're part of the rug pull.
So it's like 2 things. Whenever I see these people losing money, I feel a little bit bad, but at the same time I go, because here's the thing. When I got into crypto, I was like, I got into it because I was like, I'm going to get rich quick. But also, I'm pretty like, it's weird. I waste money. It's like I never have any money, but I'm like frugal at the same time. It's a weird. I don't know how I figured that out. It's like, but if I'm gonna get into something where I'm gonna put like a substantial amount of money in, like I'm gonna do my research. I didn't like when I wanted to get into crypto, and then when I actually got into it was like a month. I just spent all the time listening to podcasts, reading, because I was like, I don't want to get fucked on this. And I learned that the reason Bitcoin is so good is because it's the whole thing where there's a certain amount of Bitcoin. There'll never be more than that. Was it like 21 million? There'll never be more than that. The way that so figuring out blockchain is fucking impossible, but what I've gathered from it is it's next to impossible to like fraudulently put a transaction on there to like make shit up to essentially do like to like hack it and do create some sort of like fiat activity with the fucking blockchain. So that seems super secure. And then the fact that you can't fuck with the money supply, because that's why like inflation happens, is they print a bunch of money and the money supply doesn't go up. So, this amount of money was worth this amount of gold. Now this amount of money is still worth that amount of gold. So I was basically seeing it being like, oh, the value of Bitcoin is based off the fact that you can't fuck with it, and that turns into a hard asset. And then I start seeing the shit with like Doge when that's getting really popular, and I was just like, okay, what's the value based off, or like what's the supply? What's the supply based off of? And they're like, it just shut up. They're just like, just shut the fuck up. That's what it's based off of. I go, oh, and then I see all this stuff with like all these other coins, and I was like, what's it based off of? Like, what's the value based off of? And I'm like, oh, these are all just people haphazardly getting into it. I basically look at it and I go, why did you make this? And if you look up Bitcoin about why they made it, they're like, so we can make a sound currency. You look at all those other ones, you go, why did you make this? They'll be like, because that's what we're doing, dude. And so it was a lot of stuff like that. And then mix that with, I remember during like the Doge and like the GameStop craze, I remember when the dust settled and you sort of are reading stuff about it and you realize like not that many people made money off of it. It's like you start realizing like, dude, if you're not in Bitcoin, this shit does not seem fucking worth it at all.
Well, dude, the funny thing about Bitcoin is I was an early adopter, like way, way back in maybe like 2013, 2014.
Oh, no. What happened?
No, but dude, this is great. So me and my buddies found it, And this was back before anyone understood what it was. It's just like, oh, dude, there's this internet money, and if you go to this website called the Silk Road on the Tor browser, you can just buy drugs, and like the police can't see it. So me and all my junkie friends would just buy like at that time like $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and just then we'd buy like 3 pounds of weed and be like, this was worth it. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like I literally probably had a collective of like $5,000 I converted into Bitcoin at that era in my life to just buy weed and Xanax and acid on the Tor browser. And I don't know what the math is on that.
What year was it?
This was 2014. About roughly $5,000 went in and out of that wallet. I don't think I'm gonna like what it equals now.
No, I can't imagine you're gonna. I'm trying to look up the Bitcoin price in 2014. Oh yeah. Oh wow, Chris. Oh my god. It's so much lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, because it was cheap back then, dude. Because that was the thing. We thought at the time, this was the understanding in the community, the drug community, that Bitcoin was solely made to buy drugs, and it would never go mainstream. The news would never cover it. No normal people would know what a Bitcoin is. Like, you'd bring it up to people, they look at you like you're a conspiracy theorist. And it's like, the whole purpose of this is so you can buy illegal shit online. That's what we use it for. We never thought it would be worth anything one day.
Well, that's what drives me crazy is I don't, we've established I'm a little retarded. I don't know a lot of things, but I did spend a lot of time, like when I was getting into Bitcoin, I was like, why is this good? Like, I don't give me the whole buy the dip, yada, yada, yada. Why is this good? And I looked into it, and I basically learned, like, more or less, like, how money works. And, I think what a lot of people are missing with Bitcoin is, because I think they look at it, they're like, it feels like counterculture. They want to be contrarians, or it's like, yeah, we get to do illegal shit with it. But I learned about like what gives money value, and like I was saying before, when like and what decreases the value when they print up a bunch of fiat currency, basically. Excuse me, when the government keeps like printing up money without making the gold supply any bit bigger. I started learning about that, and basically what creates value for it is it's essentially that. It's how. It's like when you go, I have one, it's when you have in your wallet a thing that says 1 Bitcoin, you're able to pull out 1 Bitcoin. It's the stability of it. And when I learned that, it made me like so much more horrified about, I realized how flippantly people go into all of this stuff, because if you take the time to learn that, the second you hear the phrase like, the Haktua girl has a coin. Now, granted, you could know nothing about crypto and you realize that's retarded. But the fact that anyone bought into that, I go, what did you think was going to happen? And it's like, that's the thing about crypto that scares me right now. I think it'll get better. But the thing that scares me about crypto right now is like people will just, invest thousands of dollars into something that they're like, I don't really know what it is at all, but the internet told me I can double or triple my money, and that's like insane to me.
No, it's all gambling. Like my buddy told me, he's like, if you did not get an invite only to the early pre-purchase, he's like almost guaranteed you're not making money.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be in that community, and it's all just like, that elite community just scams everyone else into thinking they can be rich quick.
And if you take 5 seconds to think about it, because, like, that's the other thing with a lot of these coins. You go, like, what's the long-term thing with this shit? You know what I mean?
What are you going to use it for?
Yeah.
Other than other people trying to get rich quick. Like, what is it actually,
it's like, what? And so then you think about it, and you're like, okay, because, like, for me, Bitcoin's a long-term investment because I would like it. I would like it if they made it legal currency. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So for me, with the stability of Bitcoin, it seems like a good long-term investment. That's why I'm getting in Bitcoin. But when like fucking, Trump comes out and he's like, hey, we got Melania coin. You go, what's the game plan on that? So like the only game plan on that is to like make money quick. And then it goes back to what you were saying. We're like, how do you make money quick? you have to be in early. And it's like, have you not looked into any of these other crypto things? I don't know. I think it's going to be a big, like, I don't know. I don't want people to get scammed, but I feel like what's going to happen is just, it's going to be some Darwinism. A lot of people are going to get scammed. And it's just, I just hope in the process of, I don't mind these shit coins getting a bad rap. I hope something happens that people can realize you're like, well, no, Bitcoin's still cool. As long as you aren't trying to get rich quick, Bitcoin can be a huge benefit. I just, I hope it doesn't go down and everyone sort of lumps it all in. But you were about to say something about Melania coin?
Oh, so that reminds me of, Milei, the president of Argentina.
Yeah, I heard he scammed some people. That made me sad.
He did a legit Hawk Tua style coin pump and dump rug pull. The president of a large nation, a guy that goes to the UN, has met the Pope. He did a fucking rug pull on his own citizens, and that made me like him so much more. That is so funny. That is such a power move to, as a president, be like, guys, this is the future of Argentina. We're going to invest in crypto. We're going in a future way. And everyone's like, yeah, I trust my president. He's like, kidding, I'm a millionaire now. That's a fucking gangster move, dude.
Yeah, I was bummed because I was like, he's throwing in all that libertarian anarcho-capitalist shit, and then to just do so, but I don't know. It's the same way I feel about Elon.
Anarcho-capitalism, it's like, hey, you took a risk, you lost. He's teaching everyone a lesson about the laissez-faire economy.
Yeah, no, I mean that is something where you're just like fucking. Well, dude, that's why. I fuck with libertarianism a lot, but the one thing I worry about is there's gonna have to be a huge mental shift because the government has basically conditioned people to be like, yeah, we got it. Don't fucking look into this. We got it. Because that's the big hurdle for libertarianism to catch on. It's like, guys, you're gonna have to double check shit before you go do it.
No, dude, I love libertarians. I want to go on record. They've always been very kind to me. I think there's a lot of really smart, capable libertarians. My big problem with libertarians is it's nonsensical because you assume when you're a libertarian that everyone is going to function like you. They're going to have practical skills. They're going to have the betterment of the community in mind. They're going to be like a can-do, self-reliant, rugged person. And you forget that everyone in the country has to be libertarian. And there are a lot of incompetent, incapable people that you are not, you're accounting for all your boys you're living on a commune with in New Hampshire. It's like, well, we all know how to use guns and we can do masonry and carpentry and we take care of each other. It's like, not everyone's it's not going to work like that when everyone's doing it. It's like there's going to be a lot of weak links in that chain and a lot of people that take advantage of that system that's going to, as I like it ideologically, but I think in practice it's going to get ruined real quick.
Well, I hear where you're coming from because I think what gets lost in the conversation about libertarianism a lot is libertarianism, and I've just sort of realized this and, listening to podcasts and stuff, where what gets lost on a lot of people is, and even a lot of libertarians, because a lot of libertarians, it's so funny, their autism works in their favor and their detriment because they'll be like, because libertarianism is more, you should focus more on the fact that it's a legal framework where it's what should we do in these, it's down to you own yourself. It's down to self-ownership and property rights. So it's that shit where, so under libertarianism, if I have a restaurant and I want to put a whites only sign, I legally have that right. Now, when we jump
into that's the one you went with is the example.
Well, it's that that's also how autism works, where you do the most flippant example to make it the most obvious.
I gotcha.
But no, but that's the legal element of it. That's the other half of libertarianism that makes it rocky because you then need to have something that covers up the morals. So there's a lot of libertarians who also identify as like, you know, Christian or whatever the fuck they identify with. So you have the
they're all Christian. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Muslim libertarians running around.
Yeah, there's a few there's a few things that conflict, but I hear what you're saying. But no, it's like, but then when you go into like the real world, they're like, here's what you can do, and then you know that's where like the free market comes in. It's just like, hey, do you like having a restaurant where people come to it? And then that's where that comes in. You're like, yeah, maybe I don't put that fucking sign in the window. So it's sort of. I hear where you're coming from, because I think a lot of people, because there's a lot of like goofy libertarians that'll just be like, you know, that, you know, because you know, you can't tell someone what to do with their body. So under libertarianism, you'd have sex work, drugs, and all that stuff legal, but then they also just like autistically go down that route, and it's just like, yeah, and then everyone should be like a hooker on heroin, and you're like, well, hold up. You know what I mean? It's like, you could do whatever you want, but we should also have conversations about like, that stuff is bad though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you also need some government oversight, because, right, I understand, again, in principle, if we're going on pure principles, I love what the libertarians are talking about. But then it's like the classic example of like, who's going to build the roads? And the libertarians always give me this answer of like, we're all going to come together as a community and we're going to build the roads. And it's like, first of all, that's a government. You described a town government. Also, secondly, no, they're not. I'm not paying for the road. I pay my taxes currently. You think I'm going to give you money to build a road? Fuck that. Someone else will handle it.
Well, that's why I personally I want libertarianism. I'll settle on minimizing the size of government. You know what I mean? Because that is the big hurdle, because I hear what, like, you're making all the, like, for someone who's not convinced, you're making a bunch of fair arguments, but then at the same time, this is why it's hard to argue it, because you're like, all right, we're also going to have to slightly reconstruct how we operate, because, but then when you start, just basically think about like, oh, we need all this shit done. And you basically take the element out of like, what if the government didn't say they were going to solve that problem? And then you just look at like sort of free market, laissez-faire forces, and it would like slowly almost. Now, I'm not talking in utopian terms, but like things would figure themselves out. Like there's this, who the fuck is it? I want to say it's Milton Friedman, but he has this, he has this like speech called I Pencil, and he basically talks about, he's got like this pencil, and he's talking about like, you know, to make this pencil, so much needs to happen. Where basically it's like, you need the wood from wherever, you need the graphite from wherever, you need the rubber in the top of the pencil, and the plastic, or everything that goes into the pencil. And now there's no like board, there's no like different czars of like rubber, and this board is for steel and wood and whatever's going on in that pencil and shit like that. It's just a bunch of people need shit and it like, there is an element of it like figuring itself out. Now I will say, what the fuck was I gonna say? I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked.
But yeah, for instance, with like, because I just think it's an easy example, like bridges. It's like there's no immediate incentive for any one person or group to need to fix that bridge. And then it might fall into disrepair, and if someone does fix it, then maybe now they decide who goes over the bridge or not, what they're going to charge to go over the bridge, all that stuff. And I guess that's kind of like the laissez-faire economy of like, okay, now you got to pay tolls to get over the bridge because this guy fixed it. But I don't know. I'm big. I'm also, here's the other thing. Government is the military, and the military's cool as hell. Under libertarianism, we wouldn't have any F-35s, no A-10 Warthogs. We wouldn't have any B-2 stealth bombers. Like, you know, we got some cool shit going on with that. That's the only place I'm cool with my tax dollars going to, is the military. Nothing gets me more excited than seeing a A-10 Warthog fly over a third world country. I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude, we're the best.
Yeah, but then that's the whole. And I agree with that. I'm definitely pro like a defensive military, but then you look at
offensive. Let's actively blow them up.
Yeah.
I'm with MacArthur in Korea. We should have nuked China when we had the chance back in the 50s.
Yeah, you wanna upgrade the fucking the drone cameras so it's clear footage. You're like, I wanna see I wanna see those weddings get blown up, dude.
Dude, I want boots on the ground in Taiwan. I want a war with China in my lifetime. That's my dream. Everyone's like, oh, don't go to war with China. It's like, we got 10 years tops where we can still probably win. Let's fucking take our shot. They're only getting stronger every day. We got fucking 12 nuclear powered aircraft carriers. They have 0. Let's do something before they have any.
Yeah. You remind me of something I wanted to say about the CIA, but one last point before we kind of shift over to something else, because it's funny. I'm obsessed with libertarianism, but the second I'm on a podcast getting into like, how would it work? I'm like, can we talk about something else?
It's like I'm with you. It's like a cool theory. I just feel like there's so many minutia you have to figure out, and I'm not smart enough to understand that shit.
Well, because I think sometimes it becomes just sort of like intellectual flexing to be like, well, this is how this would work, and this is how the schools would work, and this is how the government, or this is how the defense would work, and blah blah blah. And I always look at it from. I remember I heard this statement someone made where the biggest atrocities in world history were legal acts by the government, and it really like made me look at it differently, where you realize like all the worst shit in the world was done by the government and it was legal. So there is always this like, people will be like, well, what are we going to do about the roads? And I go, what are we going to do about all those fucking brown people we bombed? Like, I focus more on being like, well, let's look at like the shit they definitely don't need to do. And it's like be the world's policeman.
Whoa. That's the thing we're best at. See, I think that's where you think. This is my thing. I have almost no opinion domestic policy. I have all the opinions foreign policy. I think America at all times should be defending the petrodollar. I think if you're a country considering getting off the petrodollar as your reserve currency, we should kill 10% of your population to set an example, so no one gets any fucking ideas. Everyone's like, oh, it's Hillary killed Gaddafi. Good. That's the one good thing she did, was fucking murder that guy for trying to make his own African euro. And how fucking dare he?
You're a great example of what I say a lot of times too, is why we need small government and less powers, because Chris is the prime example. Everyone is a dictator in limbo. That's the other reason. Most people are dictators in limbo.
I am an old school neocon. Okay, I'm like Obama was, Dick Cheney, Nixon, Kissinger is the GOAT. At all times, be projecting American influence through military power, and that will maintain us the #1 economy.
Yeah. You're the only one who thinks we won Vietnam. You're like,
we won every single military engagement. We got tired. We left.
You're like, you know how many we fucking killed over there? We crushed it at Vietnam.
We fucking crushed the KD in Vietnam. We got so many airstrikes. It's kill streaks, just napalm every 5 seconds.
Dude, it's funny. I got like, the whole thing you're going on where it's like, I like all the bombs and da-da-da. I got big into like the CIA, and I was like, dude, all the stuff they do is like, 'cause, everything you read, they're like, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked. And it is super fucked up. But at the same time, at the same time I'd read it, I'd be like, oh my God, look at all this horrible stuff. Dude, wait, what? How does a Halo drop work? That's so fucking sick, dude.
Just like people talk about like fucked up shit the CIA did, and I'm like, so you're telling me they used the Chiquita Banana Company to overthrow an entire government? That sounds actually kind of sick as fuck. That's crazy.
Like, have you ever read? Dude, that's the funny part. It's like when you take yourself out of it, you're like, when you like sort of look at it as just a spectator, you're like, that's kind of gangster as shit. Like where, you ever read Tales of an Economic Hitman or
No, but people have told me about that.
It's a fuck, dude. That dude was it's Confessions of an Economic Hitman, actually. And the dude who writes the book, it's so goddamn funny, where he's just like, yeah, man, here's just some stuff I used to do, and now I've sort of grown and realized that was bad. And like, you're reading the book, and he's just like, yeah. So basically, what we would do is we would find a country, figure out what their natural resources is, tell them we'd give them all these like warehouses and electric plants and all this stuff so they could like process it and sell it and make all this money. And then they would just give them these crazy high interest loans that they could never fucking pay off. And so they go into debt. They would have to default on their loans. And now just these random companies just own like parts of Brazil. And dude, I forget which fucking country it was, but there was like
God bless. God, that's I love that shit. America should own everything. You all should be grateful to work for us.
Bro, dude, there was a country that they're like, I forget what the resource was, but it was like the majority, they were like the main seller of this product, and it was like not even like 5% of that stayed in their country. It was crazy, dude. And like, it's awful and horrible, but then at the same time, you're like, dude, this is like, if we're just looking at this like chess, you're a fucking grandmaster.
Well, Andy, here's the problem. All right, this is what I had to train myself to do this. You got to train yourself to do this. All Americans should do this. If you don't have a U.S. Social Security number associated with your name, I physically have trained myself to not view you as a person. It makes life so much easier. You just have zero empathy. They're just numbers on a board. Now, if someone has a U.S. Social Security number, I mean, that's a tragedy. We got to protect them. But anyone else, it's like, they don't feel pain like we do. Like, what do you do?
Damn, Chris, I didn't take you for a soulless neocon. I'm learning so much about you today.
Dude. Here's the thing. I hate China because they're our number one enemy, but I respect the way they play the game.
Yeah.
Because as America pulled out of East Africa specifically, we kind of pulled everything out of East Africa in terms of like doing that shit you were describing. And the French have recently pulled out of Northwest Africa. The Chinese have come in and they've done exactly what you described. They've built all this infrastructure with these crazy loans, and they're taking over all the natural resources of Africa. They recently just funded Rwanda to send in M23 rebels into the Congo, which produces 70% of the world's cobalt production, to get rid of the Kinshasa government that is loyal to America, to then have the new M23 rebels through Rwanda handed over to Chinese control, and then China will control 70% of the world's cobalt production.
That's crazy.
See, this is how we got to be playing, because if we're not doing it, everyone says, oh, that's evil, Chris, don't do that. If we're not doing it, the Chinese are doing it. And here's the thing, at least America has to pretend to be the good guy and throw a bone, build a hospital every once in a while to keep up appearances. The Chinese don't give a fuck. They just fucking go full bore with it.
Yeah, that's why going back to the libertarian shit, I do have to admit, I think it's a wonderful philosophy, just a beautiful legal theory, all that shit, but there is something to the fact where it's like I think we'd be fucked if we just turned it on tomorrow. There's part of me that goes, maybe we do a slow segue into it. Maybe we just slowly sprinkle it over time. Because you're talking about that shit. I go, fucking dude, if you're trying to just, do your damn libertarian thing, you got China fucking scooping up all the cobalt and making you look like a dickhead. So, I don't know. I bounce back and forth. But that gangster shit is fucking hilarious. Like with
That's what we're best at, dude. It rules. It's so fucking cool, and people are like, oh, I feel bad for being American. That's the best stuff we do.
Oh, fuck that. I'll say that. Because that, like, all jokes aside, everyone always the government is. This is why. It's like what you're saying. It's like, I hate them, but you gotta respect game. It's like that Charles Barkley, or no, the Shaquille O'Neal meme where he's like, I didn't know your game was like that. I apologize. Like, because that's where it's like, dude, the government is brilliant. They do so much evil shit every day, all the time. And then they trick Americans into being like, well, that's us. It's like, no, it's those fuckers over there. It's not you. You know what I mean? Like, so that like American self-hatred drives me fucking insane. It's like, yeah, there's a couple psychopaths in Washington that do a bunch of bullshit, and now you have to feel responsibility for that. Get fucked.
Here's my dream scenario. General McKinley of Africa Command, U.S. Africa Command, returns home with the 7th Carrier Fleet and takes over Washington, declares himself dictator for life, and we have like a nice just military dictatorship. It's like Starship Troopers, and we just go full bore. We start invading everyone. We don't even pretend with the little tricks. We just show up and we're like, gold mine's ours now. We're not even going to give you a loan. We shot the CEO in the head. It's ours now. I think that'd be tight, dude. McKinley, they pushed him into Africa Command because that's the least active command because he was wiling out too hard. They're like, we got to shelve you. You got to go over here and calm down. And he's ready. He's fucking ready. Let's bring him back, dude.
That's so funny. What's the what's like the end game on all this? Just we're fucking blowing everything up?
So we're fucked. I'm gonna be honest because we picked the middle path. We didn't go full evil or full good. We went the middle, and so that doesn't work. In my dream scenario, we turn all that around, and we just stop pretending to deal with people, and we just go around like, hey, I will literally blow up all of Berlin if you don't do what I want, Germany. And they say, oh, we're not. How dare you, America? We have independence. And it's like, I'm sorry, you don't have nukes. Berlin, boom, Berlin's gone the next day. And it's like, does anyone else have anything to say at this UN meeting? Oh, no? Okay, cool. And then we just do whatever we want. We just go take all the natural resources. We just fucking have a. But we have to break off the people. That's what I'm saying. You got to break off like 25, 30% of the people. I want universal health care. I want a good standard of living where everyone can afford to buy a house and they can afford to send their kids to college if they want. Like you were saying, take their girl out, go on vacation, save up with just a high school degree. If we can do that, I think that's how we can get to there. But a lot of people in the third world are going to have to die and basically be slave labor. But they already are. They might as well be for us instead of
Yeah,
China's
yeah.
got sweatshops, right? That's not going away. So why can't they just be our sweatshops?
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? I don't want to pay more for Hulu. So sorry, guys.
What are you gonna do? So get McKinley in there, get the Marines in there, fucking shoot all the senators, and let's go this way.
Okay, all right. That's for my YouTube channel parody. But
It is a parody.
yes, but for the really cool character you're playing right now,
Ugh.
hilarious. That pretend person you're being and making things up. Yeah, come
We
on,
have
man.
to bring back.
Come on, man. Don't
Kissinger.
fuck my Twitch tail up.
We have to revive Henry Kissinger with the power of modern medicine and let him live forever like the God Emperor from Warhammer 40K, just sitting on the throne.
Is that what this is? You've just been playing Space Marines 2, and you're like, I just want to do
Way
this
too
one.
much. This should be real life. We need super soldiers.
You're just playing Space Marines 2. You're like, I want to do that to Cambodia.
That just said, dude, give me a chainsword and send me to Cambodia, dude. I got this. Some power armor.
Yeah, I almost bought that shit last night. It looks so fucking good.
Dude, I have been in love with the universe of Warhammer 40K since like the 4th grade.
Yeah.
And they've made so many dog shit video games. And we finally got a good video game that captures the feel of the universe and the lore.
Dude,
Space Marine 2 is perfection. It's
I'm so excited. Like I didn't really even realize I was doing this. But like I think it was me like rebelling against like my dad and my brother and how they were, because they were like, my brother's huge into Warhammer. He has a room in his house for his Warhammer shit. Yeah, like
Hell yeah,
bro,
dude.
he has framed pictures of Magic the Gathering art all around his house. He's locked in, dude. Like my brother's chilling. He's
Bro's
fucking
living his best life, dude.
yeah. And I was always like, I didn't like my brother when I was younger. So all that stuff, I was like, that's fucking nerd shit. And I was like forcing myself to like not be like that. And just the older I'm getting, the less I care about stuff like that. I've been realizing in my 30s, I go, I love all of that shit. And
It's cool, dude.
and it's just like, dude, like, bro, science fiction? Awesome.
Well, you just gotta think, like, some of the smartest people got together and were like, what do we make that can make up for never, like, no pussy ever? What can we make that is so cool it can theoretically replace getting pussy? And they nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's similar to like when I listen to like prog rock or like super prog metal bands. It's the same thing where it's like, how can I work the hardest and create something so good that I still don't get pussy? How can I just ensure that I put all my work into making something brilliant where it leads to no fucking but yeah, dude, it's like I've been embracing all this stuff a lot more in my 30s, just getting over like, it was really like becoming an adult and realizing wanting to be cool is actually gay as shit. It's actually like the lamest thing in the world. And it's the quickest way to not be cool, by the way, is to try to be cool. But yeah, no, it's just like, dude, I got back into Magic the Gathering. I used to play it all the time. it really coincides with me hating my brother. Cause like I used to play Magic with him all the time. We used to play video games all the time. Then I got into high school and I was like, this guy fucking sucks ass. And then when I got older and realized he was, pretty chill dude, I was like, well, let me go check out this shit again. I started playing Magic the Gathering again and I was like, yo, I love card games. This is all because it.
What kind of deck do you play?
Oh, I play MTG like on the computer, and I just bounce around. I bounce around between decks. I will be honest. I am on a break because I am bad at it. I like playing it, but I can only rack so many losses up where I just go, I'm going back to Fortnite, dude. This sucks ass.
Dude, the problem is you're playing against guys that are like MIT graduate engineers that have taken that like super good math brain that builds a supercomputer and built a fucking card deck with it. It's like, I just picked my cards based on what looks cool. Like I'm gonna fucking lose, dude.
If we're talking about what looks cool, I usually go swamp. I am a fan of a lot of the fire decks because you get a lot of goblins in there and you can just fucking get
I love goblins, dude. I used to have a goblin deck back in the day, which it was all about proccing as many goblins as you could.
That's why I like doing because like I noticed if you get a lot of like the green decks, what is that, grass or grass
or
whatever the fuck it is, yeah. If you get a lot of the green decks are like, okay, you're 20 steps ahead and you figure this out and then you just hit them one big haymaker to end the game. I go, no, I need a bunch of little dudes who are just fucking attacking every fucking round. That's like my play strategy has always been just bull in a china shop. I just like I always pick a dude with a broadsword in any fucking game I'm in. I always pick a guy who's just fucking running and gunning and shit like that. Because that's just how I go. So I usually end up going with like a red or a black deck when Magic.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
I used to play a lot of Magic in high school, and then I was like, oh, I can't bring this to college. I can't be like a dude in college in the dorms playing Magic. This has got to stay home.
Yeah, dude. You know what I think? It was a lot of that stuff really did coincide with getting pussy. Cause I got pussy early, like probably like I was doing a little work in middle school, but I remember ninth grade rolled around and I was like getting pussy, and then I was like, is the only thing I locked in on. So I didn't have the confidence to keep up with all that shit and try to get put. I was like, I have to give all of this up, and then you realize like, confidence just gets you pussy.
I didn't have these distractions in high school, so I got to play as much Magic the Gathering as I wanted. I got to paint all the Warhammer figures I wanted, dude.
Dude, it was funny. I actually, no, dude, I am jealous because I made oh, dude, you want to see what I did the other day? Are you ready for this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I fucking love Gundam.
Yeah, I decided last week I want to get back into making, because that was another thing I used to do all the time when I was a kid, is make Gundam and car models all the time. But what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, I had fun making the Gundam model, and I literally had the thought the other day. I was like, you could probably paint a Warhammer figure or two. I think that might be fun.
Hey, dude, I fucking love Warhammer. I will flood you with resources on the topic if you want.
Well, I hear the lore is like crazy because that's like the thing everyone brings up.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's like they're all these thick novels. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't read the novels because they're all like 700 pages, and I don't got time for that. So I just watch lore videos on YouTube. I'm one of those guys. I want to hear the spark notes, all the cool shit that happened.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the Horus Heresy, which is a book series that is like the how the whole game started, like the lore of like the conflicts that led to the universe we're in now in the game. That one series is like 35 books, and they're all 300 to 600 pages.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could spend like 5 years only reading the Horus Heresy. And that's not even all the other, I think there's like 800 novels in the 40K universe.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, I knew there was something to it when fucking I realized Superman was into it. What's his name? Hamill? Or how do you say it?
Oh, Henry Cavill, dude.
Cavill, that's his name. You know, you're
I got beef with him though, dude. He doesn't play the. I don't like the army he plays.
what
Because
is it?
there's inner Warhammer racism against the different species you play as, and I don't fuck with Custodes, dude. He's playing Custodes like a little bitch boy, dude. That's the simplest, gayest army you can play.
Hell yeah. I'm just gonna nod my head like I have any clue what you're saying.
He plays like the equivalent of if you were gonna pick the most OP character in a video game.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like, this is bullshit. I don't even want to play against. There's no nuance. They just have the one move and it always wins, and fuck that.
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying on that one. Yeah, but yeah, man. I got a lot of shit I gotta fucking get into because I realized like it's funny. I was doing a thing you were doing because I've tried many a time to like read Dune because I fuck with the movies hard, but the book is rough. But I hear like, oh, it gets better once you get past the first 9 books. You're like, it really starts cooking, and you're like, I don't got time for that.
Dude, I in college, stoned out of my mind, somehow read the entire first Dune book.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I read like 20 pages into the second one and was like, I kind of did the thing I came here to do. Like, I don't need to read the rest of them.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And I was just going to say, like, because I was so stoned like a sophomore in college, I don't remember any of the first Dune book. I just know I read it, so I'm good. I like did the thing. You know?
Yeah, well, I was getting pretty deep into Dune. And then I started realizing the only shit I could remember from the book was from the movie. And I go, you're not even... But you know what my problem is? It's like once I get a decent amount of way in, it bugs me until I actually finish it. You know? So I think I was saying it earlier. I'm reading The Shining and I don't fucking like it. But like it just
you committed. You got to finish it.
It just like, dude, that's my problem. It's like it just hangs over my head where like I don't know. It's like the psychotic way my brain works where everything's about like winning or losing, and the book's like, yeah, you fucking lost, pussy. Yeah, like I have the Shining is shit talking me in my head right now. I hate the way my brain works. That's another thing I've been coming to terms with. I've understood how my brain works, and I go, God damn it, this shit sucks ass. Because it's like,
isn't it the best when you know how your psychology works?
You can't do anything about it.
But you're like, I know that, but I can't do anything. Like, that just is how it is. There's not a way to, like, think my way out of this.
Bro, I had a couple things recently where I realized that about myself. I go, I do that. I do A, B, and C. And you're like, you want to just be like, just don't do it. And you're like, I have no ability to not do this. So, like, it makes you feel like you're like piloting it's almost like you're piloting a fucking Gundam. But you're like, I just sit in the cockpit. I don't actually fly it.
So much is just instinct and like trauma responses built into you.
Yeah, no, it's like a joke I was trying to work out a while ago where I go, the most annoying thing about being an adult is just most of the shit you do is based off of 6 things that sucked ass when you were a kid. Yeah. And it just gets embedded in there, and you're like, yeah, dude, I'm just gonna... It's like, dude, sometimes my friends will always give me shit. They're like, dude, why are you yelling? I go, why are you surprised at this fucking point? We've been friends for 15 years. Just, I do this. I've literally been going to that more often now, where I'm like, I'm like this. Just, like, what's the fuck? What are you getting surprised about? I'm getting mad at them because they're not just letting me yell at them.
It is funny to think how, like, probably 25% of my behavior all just goes back to my dad calling me gay one time, and I'm like, I'll fucking show him, dude.
Bro.
And that just defines the next whatever of my life. Is just my dad was mean to me one time.
Bro, I always...
Like, is that crazy?
Dude, no, it's not. I completely get it, because I always joke with people. I go, dude, I'm literally like 4 attaboys away from never doing this fucking gay-ass comedy shit. You know what I mean? Like... Dude, legitimately, I know for a fact because that's always like, that was always that's why I got into comedy. I go, I'll learn how to write jokes, I'll be on stage, and people will tell me I'm sick as hell. And you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, if my dad would have just been like, good job, dude, I'd be running a warehouse, rich as shit, dude. Like, it's crazy. But I need strangers I never met to validate me because I'm a fucking bitch.
I think that is for like most comics, though. It's true. It's like if my dad had just been nice to me like 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
I would not need to do any. I would not have had to ruin my life to do comedy.
It's like, dude, it is this weird thing, and it's probably due to like, you know, I'm not as successful as I hope I would be. Yada yada yada. That's nothing new with a lot of comedians, but like there is this weird part of you where it's like, dude, if you could rub a genie lamp. It's like, I love doing comedy, but there is always that part of me where it's like, dude, if I could get one do-over, I may just go warehouse manager. I might. Just, if I could know what I know now, I may have just been like, warehouse manager's cool. We'll watch the game on the weekend and fucking hang out and smoke out back and try to avoid my wife. Like, like, that might have been more fun. Who knows?
No, see, here's I know for me personally that a normal life was never in the cards, because it's like before I got into comedy, I guess a little later than some people. Like I started when I was 25, so like I'd already been in like the workforce for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a little, but that I started at like 23.
Yeah, so not again, not crazy, but like you see people start at like 18, 19, that's their full adult experience. But it's like, so I had some adult experience, and I had like a really good job right out of college. I just kind of lucked out, and I was doing tech sales for a big like Fortune 500. I was making a ton of money, and especially at that age, no idea what to do with it, and it was good. My life was, I guess, good.
Yeah.
But like all I would do is power through work so I could go home and get like blackout drunk.
Yeah.
I was just so fucking miserable. Like it turned me into an alcoholic.
No.
So it's like I don't think that was ever available. I don't think normalcy or whatever was ever going to jive with whatever's wrong with my brain or soul or whatever you want to say it.
Yeah.
And comedy created like a good outlet to have a higher calling to always strive towards that keeps me on the straight and narrow.
No, I agree with you on that. I'm the similar way where it's like I bitch and moan, and it's usually probably just because, like I said before, it's not going as good as I thought it would have, and you know, it's that typical bitching about that. But it is a thing of, it's like when people go like, you know, how do you start comedy? I almost want to be like, you're probably not going to do it because you wouldn't be asking. You'd just be doing it. And it's like, if I really was like, I should have been I'd be in a warehouse. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm a crazy person, and this is satisfying to me. And also, I used to be bad about it, and then I learned more that like, something, because a lot of people now with like a lot of mental health shit, they try to like figure it out, and like they're gonna hack it and just be like, I'm just gonna figure out how to not do that. And it's like, well, you're gonna spend years on it and realize you can't, so you may as well just like deal with it. Like I learned a lot of mental health is literally just fucking thugging it out and like bobbing and weaving and just being like, yep, I do that, but hey, not today, buddy. You know what I mean? It's literally so much of that. And fuck, I forget what the fucking point I was going to make. I think it's just, I think it was just sort of like, oh, that's what I was going to say. I joke, but, you know, I love my dad, and I'm not going to spend every fucking day just bitching and moaning, being like, you know, oh, just hyper-focusing on like, well, you didn't do that. Well, this is where we are. Fucking just, like I said, thug it out, keep it moving. And also, when I got older, because there's an age everyone hits when they just go like, oh, it's when you hit your parents' age when they had you, and you're like, oh, I'm so retarded. What are the odds they were less retarded than me? Like, I'm their kid. What are the odds they were less retarded than me? And then you immediately have so much more sympathy for your parents, and then you realize you're like, bro, I got out easy. The way I would fuck a kid up is nuts.
It'd be so bad.
It'd be so bad the way I fucked the kid up. Oh my God. I'd be so fucking petty, being like, you don't like me either? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, well, I think my problem when I have kids is because I was raised by like fucking weirdo hippies. And, you know, that to a lot of people it sounds fun, but it actually like super fucked me up in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So then I kind of went the other way to like where if I have kids, it's like, you're gonna be ultra like almost cult like religious, and you're gonna go to like an Orthodox Jewish school, and you're not gonna we're no music in the house. We're not gonna like I'm gonna go so the other way to try to prevent the harm my parents did to me with like the hippie live your best life, follow your dreams bullshit. That I
Well,
think it's gonna just fuck them up in a completely different way.
it's so funny and revealing too, where like, you reminded me of what I was gonna say about me too, where you were saying your parents are hippies and you're doing your whole like I wish I was Dick Cheney thing. And you're like, dude,
Yeah, no, that's what happened.
how do you know if that's even your own decision? You know what I mean? So that's why you just gotta fuck that. It's also too another reason why not to be a fucking hippie and get too introspective, but it's like shit like that because I'm the same way. I'm not just trying to fucking make fun of you. I'm the same way. I'm exactly like my parents, but I'm also like the opposite in other ways. The same, in a sort of similar way. And you look at stuff like that. You look at, like I said before, 6 bad things that happen when you're a kid determine why you're a spaz now, yada, yada, yada. And it's like you do make your decisions throughout the day, but there's so many elements of life that make you like just a passenger in this thing. It makes me really be like, yeah, am I going to get super bogged down with, like, I'm going to be up to date with current events as best as I can, but am I going to be super emotionally invested with all this, like, political shit that I don't know how much I even fucking care about it. It really, I don't know. I know for me, it like helps me put my priorities in play where it's like, I think it's good to be, informed. And, I look at the government as a, as a threat and a cancer. And it's like, if you get cancer, you want to learn about it and tend to it and get chemo. But at the same time, it also, what also helps you cancer is spending time with your family and being positive and shit like that. You know what I mean? So
That's less fun. I can't scream about that stuff.
no. You can't start wearing cool bandanas if you don't take chemo. So, but yeah, man. I think this is a good place to wrap it up. This was really fucking fun, Chris. Well, I'll have to have you on. I'll have to have you on again to figure out which other non-white countries you want to decimate. That I think it'll be
the white ones too. The UK's been talking some shit. Let's go teach London a lesson.
You were cracking me up too, where you're like, let's fucking carpet bomb Cambodia. Also, Henry Cavill's characters in Warhammer are a little racist, which I don't like. And you're like, okay, Chris, where are we going with this? Let everyone know what all your shit is. Where can they check you out? You know the drill.
Yeah, Chris Warren. You can find me at Chris Warren Comedy on Instagram and TikTok. I post a lot of content up there. I try to get a video out a day. I also got a podcast with the very funny Matt Lopes and Ben Kirsch called You Should Be Worried Pod. So you can find that Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all that stuff. And go to my Instagram if you want my tour dates. I'll be around the Northeast in the next couple months. So hopefully if you're in the area and want to come out, we can hang.
Yeah, and check Chris's shit out, especially too, because like it's always a thing when you see other comics pop up on TikTok and you're like, all right, what crazy embarrassing shit are they doing over here? And then you see Chris and all your buddies in Connecticut, those the fucking TikToks you make are hilarious.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, the following you guys have is well earned. So, but yeah, you pump out one a day.
For my personal stuff, I try to put out like 6 to 7 a day, a week rather. Yeah,
a week. Oh wow, that's crazy because yours are like involved and researched.
Yeah, and then like the sketches and stuff that I do with Ben and Matt, the two guys, and Jared as well, the guys I do the podcast with. Those take a little bit more effort.
Yeah. It's so funny when you because I've been getting more into TikTok when I just have like funny thoughts. Like I found out I was like watching a YouTube video about like here's all the types of pizzas throughout America. And have you ever heard of Altoona pizza?
No, but I already hate whatever that. The sound of it doesn't sound good.
It's fucking abysmal. It's just like a square Sicilian slice. They got like a whole green pepper on it and like salami and shit, and then they like barely melt a slice of yellow American cheese on it. And I go, you know what, I need you as the military director carpet bombing Altoona. Like that's what I fucking need for them. And I just made this like dumb TikTok I made this dumb TikTok where I go, what the fuck is this? I go, everyone for Altoona, go fuck yourself. And it did okay. And then I see you guys and I go, I am not putting forth any effort. So all the shit you're doing, man, it's very cool. I respect the hell you pumping out fucking like 6 or 7 a week. That's nuts. And then on top of all that other stuff. But yeah, man, guys, go check out Chris. He fucking rules. He's the man. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
Always a pleasure, Andy.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Take care.